The hilarious misadventures of the Underwear Fairy continue in the fourth installment of Oona Bramblegoop's Sideways Magic chapter book series. Ahead, I'll talk with the author Kate Korsh about When Fairies Go Too Far. Hi, I'm Dan Skinner, and welcome to the Kids Bookshelf. Kate Korsh has written 3 other books in the Oona Bramblegoop Sideways Magic series: Newbie Fairy, A Boy in Fairyland, and Fairies vs. Leprechauns. She joins us to talk about the latest, When Fairies Go Too Far. Kate, welcome to the Kids Bookshelf.
Thanks so much for having me back.
This is the 4th book to feature Oona Bramblegoop, the Underwear Fairy. So for those who aren't familiar with the series, tell us about Oona. Who is she?
Well, Oona's a little spitfire. She's a fairy. She's a ball of spunk. She has a lot of big aspirations. She's a little bit impulsive, so she tends to get herself into trouble here and there. But she has very good friends, and they have great friendships, and so they manage to help each other out and get out of their jams together. She is the underwear fairy, so she provides underwear that helps kids not fall down and hurt themselves. It's like safety underwear. And so if they're distracted and they're going to trip and fall, it gives them auto wedgie magic, and that wedgie snaps them back into attention, and then they're safe. So yes, because she has sideways magic, that's the way she does her protection spell, is through magical underwear.
So the magical underwear helps, but sometimes as she's trying to develop her skills and learn new things, it doesn't go as expected.
No, yes. And for example, in this book, in the 4th book, she is trying to help her Grand-Fairy get into a disguise. And the problem with the Grand-Fairy is a shapeshifter, and she can be anything she wants to be, but she always keeps her purple curls. Her purple hair is the one tell that she has. And so Oona is trying to come up with some magic to cover up her curls. And in doing so, because all of her spells somehow end up having underwear in them, her cousin Horace's underwear disappears into the dryer and turns into a wig for her Grand-Fairy. So there's just a lot of silliness around that sort of magic.
So this is a chapter book series. So
Yes.
For what age are we looking at?
This is for 7 to 10-year-olds. Ideally, but I have found that like 5 and 6-year-olds, anyone starting kindergarten and up, really anyone in elementary school, if they're not at the reading level of the text, it is good for a bedtime story, a chapter a night, if the parents are reading it. Kids of all elementary ages love it because there's so much silliness, and there's fun fairy facts, and there's magical spells that rhyme. So there's a lot of fun in there.
Speaking of those fun fairy facts, it's, in addition to the regular narrative of the story, you do have those fun fairy facts. So can you share a couple of those with us?
Sure. Yes. I wrote one down because sometimes my reading glasses don't serve me so well. Yes. What was fun about this book is I was able to just get a little bit deeper into some of the magic that was already established. So I had talked in earlier books about the magical days of the week for the fairies. And in addition to the fun fairy facts, I got to make a lot of fun fairy rules for the fairy binder. That's their sort of law of the land in fairy world. One of the new fairy rules that Oona made up and her cousin didn't love was rule number 1126. All fairies must wear stripes on Snorgle Day. He didn't like that. He said, that's just weird. And she said, not weird, fun. Do you not like fun all of a sudden? And so then at the bottom, I was able to talk more about Snorgle Day. So the fun fairy fact is Snorgle Day is the 8th day of the fairy week. It comes after Sunday and before Monday. So fairies always have a 3-day weekend. Fairies like to spend this day either snoring or snuggling, or preferably both. That was really fun for me because I just made up Snorgle Day as just a silly sounding day. And then I thought, well, what does snorgle sound like? It sounds like snore. It sounds like snuggle. Maybe that's what they do on Snorkel Day. They snore and snuggle. So yeah, those are a little fun add-in.
And if I'm remembering correctly, the one sort of human day they don't have is Wednesday, because that's just too weird.
Yes, the fairies we might think Snorkel Day is weird, or Frimp Day, which is the other day they have added in, but the fairies think that human day, Wednesday, is so strange. How do you spell it? Why doesn't it sound like it's spelled? So they leave that one out altogether. Yeah.
Well, this fourth installment is When Fairies Go Too Far, and Oona is kind of progressing in the fairy world, and she makes it to this fairy council of some sort. But then I guess the power kind of goes to her head.
That's right. That's what power does sometimes. And also she wants the approval of the head of the fairy council, who is Molly. Molly has entrusted her with making additional rules for the fairy binder for the upcoming unicorn reunion. She wants everything to be just perfect. And Oona and Molly both get carried away with the rules. And pretty soon there are so many rules that all the fairies can't possibly follow them all. And when they're being disciplined for not following the rules, they are losing some of their magic. And that absolutely cannot happen in the fairy world, because magic is essential not only to fairy world, but also to children in the human world.
So we're going to have some fairy deregulation at some point.
That's right. That's right. Let's ease up on those rules, which they do, not to spoil it, but they do by the end. The binder gets a lot slimmer.
So what do you think Oona learns by the end of this adventure about, how to negotiate her world?
So many things. I mean, I think that because she is impulsive, and that's just sort of natural with, a youthful spirit, she realizes that she sometimes has to correct course, and so that includes apologizing, which she learns through the whole series about how to really authentically apologize to a friend and make up after a conflict. But also to change course and have that be okay. Like when you realize you're headed down a path that maybe isn't the best path, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to to correct and take a new path that works better for everybody involved. So yeah, definitely that. And I think that her friends also, they all learn that together. It's not just her. She's not the only one with flaws. So all the friends learn how to take on the better path and how to help each other do that.
Each of the books have their own color scheme. So tell us a bit about that and what this current book looks like.
Yeah, I have them all here, and they're they're so pretty on my shelf because they're just a rainbow. And I love that the latest is in orange tones, just in time for fall. So I know we start celebrating Halloween really early in the US. And so this is just the right color. And the text is also orange, and all the illustrations are shades of orange. Let me find a nice spread here. Well, here's one of the illustrations. You can see the different colors of orange. So that's really fun. And the illustrations, one thing that was interesting about this book is when I was writing the first one, the pictures were all in my mind. And then when I was connected with the illustrator, she created these characters on paper. But by the time I was writing this one, the fourth one, I already had her illustrations in my mind. So, before she was sort of bringing my vision to life. And then by the fourth one, I felt like we were really synced up together, that I could see what she might draw as I was writing the scene. So that was fun for me.
Yeah, we touched on this a little bit. She learns about, like I said, all through this series about apologizing, and because things go wrong, so she has to apologize for that, which is kind of just her thing. But what are some of the other themes do you think this book explores and are sort of takeaways for kids when they read it?
Well, like I said, I really wanted the Grand-Fairy to come fully to life in this book. And, I wanted the Grand-Fairy to be not separated like generationally. I wanted her to be really hip and cool, and I wanted her to be really helpful. And I feel like the Grand Fairy and the Newbie Fairies work well together. So that was one of the things I wanted to stress.
Well, I was going to say one interesting thing, and again, I don't think it's a spoiler, but just an interesting thing about the Grand-Fairies is where they live and how they have this system, which you can explain it, that helps them sort of stay in contact with the other fairies and know what they're up to, so that when the Grand-Fairies are sort of helping out those younger fairies, they're really good gifts. They're really good things that they're providing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is one of the major themes of all of these books is there's a certain sensitivity that the fairies have. And even as new fairies, they have this thing called EFP, which is like extra fairy perception. And so they can tell when children are in trouble, or other fairies are in trouble and need help. And then as they grow, the Grand-Fairies are the most sensitive. And one of the ways they can tell what's happening with all the other fairies in their community is they live in a giant banyan tree. And there's a banyan tree near my house that I used to take my children to when they were toddlers, and they would just play amongst the roots. And I just love that tree so much. So I really visualize that tree and the Grand-Fairies living in it and it being very magical. And so the roots are so widespread to hold up this giant tree that they are just under the surface all through Blackberry Bog, the fairy world. And it's through these roots that the magic travels, where the Grand-Fairies can sense what's going on with everybody else. And so they make the best care packages because they know exactly what people need when they need a gift. And in a previous book, I say they can sometimes just show up with ketchup packets when you've ordered French fries because they know you're going to need them.
Well, it's a fun series of books. So are we going to have more Oona Bramblegoop stories in the future?
I mean, I would love that. I am ready and willing at any point. We have not got an order for that as of yet, but I am also hoping, I would love to see them somehow get sold as a group so you can buy them all together. But stay tuned. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
So we'll need to wait and see if there's going to be another Oona Bramblegoop story. But do you have anything else in the works?
Yes, actually, I have a YA novel coming out. My first YA is coming out November 4th. It's called Never Seen the Stars with Scholastic. And it is a speculative romance. The main character has a friend who's passed away recently, and she starts to see him. She has a degenerative eye disease, which I also have, and my family has. It runs in the family, called retinitis pigmentosa. And my main character, Hattie, also has retinitis pigmentosa, and she gets her diagnosis towards the beginning of the book and is starting to lose sight in her periphery. And in the places where she's losing her sight, she starts to see her friend who's recently died. And he sort of helps guide her through this transition in her life. So a lot of sad elements, but it's actually very funny. She's very sarcastic and sharp. And so there's a lot of funny moments and a lot of just feel-good romance too.
The chapter book is Oona Bramblegoop's Sideways Magic, When Fairies Go Too Far by Kate Korsh. Kate, thank you for talking with me today.
Thanks so much for having me, Dan. This is really fun.
If you'd like to purchase When Fairies Go Too Far, I've placed a link for you in the description below. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, like, and click on the bell so you know when I post new interviews. Meanwhile, here are 2 more books you might find interesting. Well, thank you for watching this edition of the Kids Bookshelf. I'm Dan Skinner. Until next time, keep sharing the gift of reading.